from CNN Politics from December 11th, 2024, discussing Ms. Dunn's comments at the December 4th New York Times Deal Book Summit. Ms. Dunn, we talked about it a little bit before, but I want to make sure that you saw the exact quote. I asked you about your quote here on the second page. The White House was really not a part of this process. It was a process that was done very much internally with the family and with the defense lawyers, and you said you probably heard that secondhand. Is that true?
Yeah, to the best of my recollection, I would not have had firsthand knowledge of that.
And then 2 paragraphs up, you said, I do not agree with the way it was done, I don't agree with the timing, and I don't agree, frankly, with the attack on the judicial system, clarifying the timing, the argument, and sort of rationale. Can you explain a little bit more what you meant about why you didn't agree with the timing? We'll take each clause on its own.
Well, I made it clear that I didn't disagree with the pardon per se for Hunter Biden, who, and I said, as I recall, I said that I didn't think he should go to jail. But I think my argument, as I remember, was more with the statement that was issued by the president at the time. And also the timing, that this was the first one, so, and freestanding.
I am going to paraphrase, so if your memory is better than mine, please correct me. Part of the president's statement was that he issued the pardon because he thought it was a politically motivated prosecution on his son. Is that fair?
I think that is fair, yes.
So is that part of the statement that you disagreed with?
As you know, as I remember, that would have been part of the statement that I had issue with, given that the president had been careful for his 4 years in office to really avoid attacking the Justice Department or Justice Department officials.
And it was a special counsel that was prosecuting Mr. Biden, is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Which has some degree of independence from the Attorney General. Not as much as an independent counsel, which I learned last night as well. But
yes, there had been a special counsel, as I remember, appointed. I do not remember when he was appointed. So,
thank you. We're going to shift a little bit, and I'll go back to Peter, but I just want to ask some baseline questions regarding the Autopen. Did you have any role in approving the use of the Autopen?
I did not.
Did you ever authorize the use of the Autopen?
I did not.
Did anyone ever tell you to use the Autopen?
No, nobody did. Can I just clarify that I certainly sent letters over to the Presidential Correspondence Unit, congratulatory letters, which I believe were auto-penned.
And that's one of the categories that I believe is routinely auto-penned.
That is very routinely, but I just want to be clear that I would have made those requests.
Was there some kind of directive outlining that that was a routine use of the Autopen?
I don't remember one, so.
You don't remember a memo saying, I know based off previous witness testimony that President Biden never auto-penned any legislation, but did auto-pen executive orders and then kind of some of the, or most of the routine correspondence. But you don't recall a memo or anything from the Chief of Staff saying we can use an Autopen on X, Y, and Z?
I do not remember seeing any such memo.
So we'll switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
We've talked about already today some of your experience with preparing President Biden in various debates prior to his presidency, as well as President Obama, while a candidate and a president. But you also assisted President Biden in debate preparation for the 2024 campaign. Is that right?
Yes, I think it is fair to say I played less of a role than I had in 2020. But I did play Dana Bash the CNN moderator in the mock debates and was part of the discussions afterwards.
And was your husband Robert Bauer also involved in the debate prep?
Yeah, I believe it's been widely reported that he was.
Who played Jake Tapper?
Ben LeBolt. Okay. Also reported.
Oh, I haven't seen the whole,
Okay.
thank you.
Did you think it was a good idea at the time for President Biden to debate President Trump?
Yes, I did think that it was a good idea for us to have the early debate.
The early debate or to have a debate at all? I understand that those were kind of two different questions at some point.
I think that's an accurate characterization. But I was a proponent of, once the decision had been made that there would be debates, I was a proponent of the early debate, as indeed all of the senior advisors were.
And why were you a proponent of doing an early debate?
We had seen success coming out of the State of the Union and the president's performance there. As I remember, we felt that the best reassurance to voters about Joe Biden was for them to hear and see Joe Biden. We had a race that was seen as a referendum on the president that we needed to turn into a choice between the president and Donald Trump. And the political waters were deteriorating. We had thought there would be a more robust Republican primary contest. There was not. And I am sure I'm leaving reasons out, but those were primary reasons, that we needed those big moments.
And you needed to do them earlier. Well, why?
Well, we felt that given the fact that the Republican nomination had been wrapped up and it was a two-person race, we felt that the president would benefit from the comparison with Trump as he had in 2020.
I think you also used the word reassurance about President Biden. What did people need to be reassured about?
Well, I think, I don't recall personally using that word, but, as I mentioned earlier, we found that the best, our best argument for re-election was people seeing Joe Biden. So,
Do you think that the American people needed reassurance about President Biden's age, cognitive abilities, physical health?
well, I'm going to split off age from the other two, as I have been, because it was what people needed to see was a president who was ready to keep fighting for them, and they needed to see him in public. We did a lot of things to accomplish this, but there was nothing that was going to be as effective as side by side with Donald Trump.
Did the release of Special Counsel Hur's report have any effect on your opinion about having a debate at all or having it earlier?
As I recall, it certainly made me feel that that having a debate and having it earlier made sense. But the other important piece was the president's performance at the State of the Union, which we really did see as politically very beneficial, and looking for ways to replicate that energy.
So the release of the report did play some role in your calculations?
As I recall, it did play some role, yes.
And again, you've bifurcated age from these other concerns. But in Special Counsel Hur's report on page 6, which this is a very widely reported line, so we can introduce it if you'd like, but I can read it for you here. Special Counsel Hur wrote, "We have also considered that at trial, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury, as he did during our interview of him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory." So Is that your recollection of, did I read that correctly?
Oh,
How would she know you read that correctly?
Would you like me to introduce you?
Sure, I mean, I don't think she's gonna dispute the quote, I'm just not sure, but she can answer the specific question you asked.
Instead of handing out 400 pages, we can just phrase it that way. Do you dispute the accuracy of that quote?
I mean, that certainly is the quote I remember, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. And I only ask because, again, in terms of bifurcating age from cognitive abilities, Special Counsel Herr does not simply say that President Biden is an elderly man. He says that he believes that President Biden is an elderly man with a poor memory. So did memory or cognition really not play any role in shaping your advice surrounding having the debate earlier?
The decision to have a debate earlier and the recommendation to the president, which he ultimately agreed to, was based very much on the politics of the debate. Her report was some of it, the State of the Union was some of it, the overall political situation was some of it, and above all, the need to make this a two-person race as opposed to a referendum.
I want to ask a little bit about the Herr report because it goes to, I think there was a lot of reporting that line in particular, there were a lot of attempts to get it taken out of the report. When the classified documents were discovered, you were already back at the White House, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Were you involved in discussions on how to respond to their discovery?
So I may need you to clarify that question because obviously there were legal discussions around that which I was not really involved in, not being a lawyer. And then there was a communications discussion, which I was involved in.
In the communications discussion, were you involved in whether or not to proactively reveal that classified documents had been discovered at the president's home and office?
As I remember, I was involved in that discussion.
Who else was involved in that discussion?
The White House counsel's office, primarily, along with the White House, the president's personal lawyers.
And at that discussion, what was your advice?
her advice on it.
Whether or not to proactively reveal the discovery of classified documents?
You know, when it comes to communication around legal issues, I tend to let the lawyers kind of make the first decisions on what they think. They felt that this was a fairly routine thing that they preferred to try to work out with the Department of Justice and with with the archives, and to see if we couldn't just leave it at that.